Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Doc Mark Genesis de la Serna. So I am John Errol Estanyol, and I am currently a student of MA 343 Comparative Education. And I will be comparing the three countries in different levels. First, we have the underdeveloped country, the Democratic Republic, the developing country, Chile, and the developed country, Lithuania. So we will be immersing ourselves with these three countries, exploring their geography, historical background of education, aims and objectives in education, its present system of primary, secondary, and higher education, and its early years education. So let's start off with the underdeveloped country, the Korea Democratic Republic, or simply known as North Korea. So this is the flag of the North Korea. And first, we'll be exploring its geography. So as a nation, we are very familiar with this country, and the Korea Democratic Republic, commonly known as North Korea, is located in East Asia on the northern half of the Korean peninsula. It borders China and Russia to the north and South Korea to the south. The country is largely mountainous, with the eastern coast dominated by the Hamgyong and Nangni mountain ranges, while the western plains and valleys are more suitable for agriculture. The Yalu and Tumen rivers form its northern border with China. So yun po yung geography ng North Korea. So baka nagwa-wonder tayo, bakit nga ba North Korea? So historically, yun po yung name niya, Korea Democratic Republic. But as of now, it is commonly known as North Korea. And they are known for their weapons. At medyo ako personally na-surprise sapagkat akala ko sila ay napaka-developed na ng country because of their weapons. But seeing it figuratively, ang North Korea pala, or the Korea Democratic Republic, is still an underdeveloped country. Now, let's look up into its historical background of education. So, education in North Korea has its roots in traditional Confucian and Buddhist teachings. However, the modern education system was significantly influenced by Japanese colonial rule on the year 1910 to 1945, and later by Soviet and Marxist-Leninist ideologies following Korea's liberation from Japan and the subsequent division of the peninsula in 1945. Post-World War II, under the leadership of King Tu-sung, North Korea established a centralized education system focused on ideological indoctrination, scientific and technical training, and the eradication of illiteracy. The Jewish ideology, which emphasizes self-reliance and the central role of the Kim family, became a cornerstone of the education curriculum. So alam naman natin na ang government nila doon ay somehow controlled po ng mga leaders nila. Now, let's look up into its aims and objectives in education. So, meron po silang iba't ibang objectives. So, first, we have the ideological education. To inculcate the principles of duty and loyalty to the Kim family and Workers' Party of Korea. Alam naman po natin na kahit po ang kanilang leaders doon ay tinuturing po nilang God. No, kaya po meron po silang ideological education. Next, we have patriotic education to foster a sense of national pride and collective identity. So, kahit tayo naman po ay nakakakita ng mga videos na kung saan ang kanilang mga citizens po doon ay napaka-patriotic sa kanilang bansa, no? At sa Kim family. Third one is technical and scientific training to develop skills necessary for the country's economic and technological advancement. So yung edukasyon po nila ay nakasentro rin po sa technical and scientific training. And last, we have cultural education to promote the arts and cultural heritage in line with socialist values. So the cultures napapreserve din po nila. So yun po yung apat na aims and objectives in education po ng Korea Democratic Republic, or simply known as North Korea. Now, let's see or discover its present system of education. So in early years of education, early childhood education in North Korea begins with nurseries for children aged 1 to 4, followed by kindergartens for children aged 4 to 6. And the curriculum emphasizes basic literacy and numeracy, along with physical education and basic ideological instruction. So, 1 to 4 pa lang, and then 4 to 6, ang mga estudyante po nila ay enrolled na sa early years education. Now, let's move on to its primary education. Primary education starts at age 6 and lasts for 5 years. The curriculum includes Korean language, mathematics, science, physical education, music, and art, along with a significant focus on the teaching of Kim Tu-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. So, yun po. And now, let's have the secondary education. Secondary education is divided into two stages. So, meron po siyang two stages. The lower secondary, which is the middle school, and upper secondary, which is high school. The lower secondary education lasts for 3 years, focusing on general subjects and more intensive ideological education. Upper secondary education also lasts for 3 years, where students are often tracked into academic or technical or vocational streams. So, in general, ang secondary education po ng North Korea ay naglalast ng 6 years. Now, in higher education in North Korea includes universities, technical colleges, and professional training institutions. The most prestigious institution is King Tu-sung University in Pyongyang. Pyongyang po ang kanilang central city. The higher education or the central city or the capital city. The higher education system emphasizes technical and scientific fields, particularly those beneficial to the military and industrial sectors. Ideological education continues to play a significant role at this level. So, dyan po sa higher education, mas na-emphasize po ang kanilang ideological education kung babalikan po natin yung aims and objectives ng education ng North Korea. Now, in general, the education system in North Korea is highly centralized and controlled by the state, with a strong emphasis on ideological indoctrination, technical and scientific training, and loyalty to the ruling regime. While there is a structure in place for various levels of education, the content and objectives are heavily influenced by the political and ideological priorities of the state. So they are very popular when it comes to exclusivity po sa kanilang country. Now, so that was the North Korea or Korea Democratic Republic. Now let's move on to the next country, which is a developed country. So it is the country of Chile. Now let's look at on its geography. Now, so here's the map. So we can see yung green, naka-green po, yan po yung Chile, at medyo elongated po siya, pataas po yung shape niya, no? At napapaligiran siya ng Argentina, Bolivia, the Pacific Ocean, Paraguay, Peru. And let's see its geographical definition. Now, Chile is a long, narrow country stretching along the western edge of South America, with the Pacific Ocean to its west and the Andes Mountains to its east. It borders Peru to the north, Bolivia to the northeast, and Argentina to the east. The country spans a wide range of latitudes, leading to diverse climates and geographies, from the Atacama Desert in the north, one of the driest places on Earth, to the fertile Central Valley and Mediterranean climate of the Central region, to the cold and wet conditions of Patagonia and Tierra del Fuego in the south. So yun po yung geography ng Chile. Now, let's move forward to its historical background of education. So this developing country, the formal education system in Chile has its roots in the colonial period, with the establishment of the first schools by Spanish missionaries in the 16th century. The first university, the Royal University of San Felipe, was founded in 1738 after gaining independence from Spain in 1818, which began to develop its own educational system. So, like the Philippines, Chile is also colonized by Spain. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the education system expanded, with significant reforms in the mid 20th century aimed at increasing access and improving quality. The 1965 education reform, for example, sought to expand secondary education and improve teacher training. So sila rin po ay mayroong 1965 education reform, no? So mga development nila sa kanilang education. During the military dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet, 1973 to 1990, the education system underwent significant changes, including decentralization and increased privatization. After the return to democracy in 1990, further reforms were implemented to address inequalities and improve educational outcomes. So nagkaroon po ng ganon sa Chile, decentralization and increased in privatization. Pero in 1990, nag-return through the democracy, nagkaroon ng address for inequalities. Now, let's explore its aims and objectives in education. So in Chile's education, it aims to or for equity and inclusion, ensuring equal access to quality education for all students regardless of socioeconomic background. Or education for all po siguro when we compare it to the Philippines, no? Or UNESCO, education for all. Quality education, improving educational standards and outcomes at all levels. Comprehensive development, fostering the intellectual, emotional, social, and physical development of students. Next, we have citizenship education, promoting democratic values, civic engagement, and social responsibility. And lastly, innovation and competitiveness, encouraging critical thinking, creativity, and the skills needed for the 21st century global economy. So, as we compare it to the North Korea, ibang-iba po ang aims and objectives ng Chile sapagkat nakasentro po siya doon sa development ng kanyang citizens. Now, let's explore its present system of education. Let's have first the early years education in Chile. Early childhood education in Chile includes daycare for children up to age 2, pre-kindergarten for ages 2 to 4, and kindergarten for ages 4 to 6. No, ganun po yung system nila ng education sa early years. The curriculum focuses on the holistic development of children, including social, emotional, cognitive, and physical growth. Now, when it comes to its primary education, in Chile, primary education lasts for 8 years. So, 8 years po. Typically from age 6 to 14. The curriculum includes subjects such as Spanish, mathematics, science, social studies, physical education, arts, and technology. There is a strong emphasis on literacy and numeracy, as well as the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills. So, 8 years po yung kanilang primary education. And for the secondary education is divided into two stages. Lower secondary, grades 7 to 8, and upper secondary, grades 9 to 12. Upper secondary education is further divided into scientific humanistic, technical, professional, and artistic tracks. The curriculum includes core subjects and specialized courses depending on the track chosen by the student. So, meron po silang lower and upper secondary. Grade 7 to 8 ang lower secondary and 9 to 12 po sa kanilang upper secondary. So, 6 years pa rin po yan. And for higher education in Chile includes universities, professional institutes, and technical training centers. The country has both public and private institutions. The higher education system is known for its diversity and includes some of the best universities in Latin America, such as the University of Chile and the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile. The curriculum at this level is broad, covering a wide range of academic and professional fields. The higher educational system also places a strong emphasis on research and innovation. So, siguro po, nakaka-relate tayo as Philippines kasi nga po sila rin po ay developing country. Kaya po medyo siguro similar po ang ating mga goals. Hindi alam lalo na sa higher education. So generally, the educational system in Chile is comprehensive, with structured pathways from early childhood through higher education. It aims to provide quality education that is equitable and inclusive, fostering the comprehensive development of students and preparing them for active participation in a democratic society and the global economy. Despite challenges, including addressing inequalities and improving educational outcomes, ongoing reforms and investments aim to strengthen the system and achieve these goals. So, yun po ang educational system ng Chile. And at this point, if we are to compare it with North Korea, malayong-malayo po ang kanilang agwat sa isa't isa. Sapagkat ang North Korea mainly nakafocus sa kanilang military at saka sa leaders. But when it comes to Chile, ang pinaglalaban po nila ay ang isinusulong po ay ang equality po when it comes to education. And nakasentro po siya sa citizens. Now, let's have another one country, a developed country, which is the Lithuania. So, Lithuania is a developed country and let's explore its geographical location. So, as seen in the map, we have here Lithuania, naka kulay brownish yellow, something ganyan po. At this sa left niya may Baltic Sea, the Latvia surrounding, no? Latvia, Belarus, Vilnius as the, I don't know if I am not sure if it's the capital city. And we have the Poland and the Russia. So, by definition of its geographical location, Lithuania is a country located in the Baltic region of Europe. It is bordered by Latvia to the north, Belarus to the east and south, Poland to the south, and the Kaliningrad Oblast, a Russian exclave to the southwest. The country has a coastline along the southeastern shore of the Baltic Sea. Lithuania's terrain is largely flat, with some low hills and numerous lakes and rivers. The climate is temperate, with both maritime and continental influences. So, yung North Korea po kanina ay nasa Asia, ang Chile ay nasa Latin America, and now we have the Lithuania which is in Europe. Now, let's move forward to its historical background of education. So the history of education in Lithuania dates back to the Middle Ages when the first schools were established by religious institutions. The University of Vilnius, founded in 1579, is one of the oldest universities in Eastern Europe and played a significant role in the intellectual and cultural development of the region. During the period of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, on the years 1569 to 1795, education was heavily influenced by Polish culture and language. Following partitions and incorporation into the Russian Empire, Lithuanian education faced Russification policies. The early 20th century saw efforts to revive Lithuanian language and culture, leading to the establishment of national schools. After the World War II, Lithuania was incorporated into the Soviet Union, and the education system was aligned with Soviet models, emphasizing Marxist-Leninist ideology. Following the restoration of independence in 1990, Lithuania reformed its education system to align with European standards, focusing on democratization, modernization, and integration into the global education community. Now, let's explore its aims and objectives in education. So, in Lithuania, in the education of Lithuania, it aims to equity and accessibility, ensuring equal access to quality education for all students, regardless of socio-economic background. Quality education, improving educational standards and outcomes at all levels. Holistic development, promoting the intellectual, emotional, social, and physical development of students. Next, we have citizenship education, encouraging democratic values, civic engagement, and social responsibility. And last, we have lifelong learning, fostering continuous learning opportunities to adapt to changing economic and social conditions. So, as a developed country, yun po yung kanyang aims and objectives in education. Now, let's have its present system of education. First, we have the early years education. Early childhood education in Chile includes daycare for children up to age 2, pre-kindergarten for ages 2 to 4, and kindergarten for ages 4 to 6. So, parang tatlong stage po yon. The curriculum focuses on the holistic development. Pag sinabing holistic po, yun po yung kabuuan. No? Hindi lamang cognitive, hindi lamang isang type of intelligence, kundi holistic development for children, including social, emotional, cognitive, and physical growth. Now, it's primary education. Primary education in Lithuania starts at age 7 and lasts for 4 years, grades 1 to 4. The curriculum includes subjects such as Lithuanian language, mathematics, science, social studies, physical education, arts, and foreign languages. The emphasis is on developing basic literacy and numeracy skills, as well as fostering creativity and social skills. So, ang primary education po ng Lithuania ay 4 na grades lamang. Now, for the secondary education is divided into 2 stages. Basic, which are the grades 5 to 10, so that's 6 years, and upper secondary grades 11 to 12, which is 2 years. Basic education Basic secondary education builds on primary education and includes a broad curriculum covering core subjects and elective courses. Upper secondary education offers general education and vocational education tracks, preparing students either for higher education or the labor market. So yun po, magpapatuloy ba sila for higher education or diretso na sila for work? And now let's discover its higher education. Higher education in Lithuania includes universities, colleges, and professional training institutions. The country has both public and private institutions, with the largest and most prestigious being Vilnius University and Vytautas Magnus University. The higher education system is aligned with the European Higher Education Area or the EHEA and follows the Bologna process, offering bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. The curriculum is diverse, covering a wide range of academic and professional fields, with a strong emphasis on research and international collaboration. So, in general, the education system in Lithuania is a comprehensive and structured, providing pathways from early childhood through higher education. The system aims to ensure equity, quality, and holistic development, fostering democratic values and lifelong learning. Despite challenges such as addressing disparities and modernizing infrastructure, ongoing reforms and investments aim to strengthen the system and align it with European and global standards. So yun po yung Lithuania, the developed country. Now, yun po yung comparison ng tatlo, no? Na Korean Democratic Republic or the North Korea, Chile, and Lithuania. But let's dig deeper into its educational systems, structures, educational level, access, funding, governance, description of schools, issues and standards, quality, curriculum, organization and management, special need, technical education, and training. So, let's dig deeper pa po. Tingnan pa po natin yung kaibahan ng tatlo when it comes to these matters. So, we have here first the structures. North Korea as an undeveloped country, underdeveloped country, Chile as the developing country, and Lithuania as a developed country. So andyan po yung I think it's comprehensive naman po yung ating arrows, no? Yun po yung tinutukoy niya. So let's explore first, compare first its structures. So when it comes to North Korea, ang kanila pong educational agency ay tinatawag na Ministry of Education or Gyuyukbo. So siya po ay in charge in all educational levels. For preschool, compulsory from ages 4 to 5. And for primary, 5 years starting at age 6. And secondary, middle, 3 years. And high school, 4 years. And for higher education, we have sila po ay may universities and technical schools. So, yun po yung structures sa North Korea. Now, dito sa developing country, ang tawag naman po sa kanilang educational agency ay Ministerio de Educación. Ministerio de Educación or MINEDUC in all educational levels. So, ang kanila pong preschool ay optional, ages 0 to 5. Ang kanilang primary ay 8 years, ages 6 to 13. At ang secondary, 4 years, ages 14 to 17. At ang kanilang higher education, university, professional institutes, technical training centers. And now let's have the developed country. Ano nga ba yung structures dito sa Lithuania? So, kanilang educational agency naman ay tinatawag na Ministry of Education, Science, and Sport. So, in charge po yan sa all educational levels. For preschool, optional pa rin po, ages 1 to 6. For primary, 4 years at nag-start po ng age 6 to 7. And for lower secondary, 6 years, ages 10 or 11 to 16 to 17. At for upper secondary, 2 years, ages 16 or 17 to 18 to 19. And for higher education, meron po silang universities and colleges. So yun po yung comparison nila when it comes to structures. Now let's move on to move forward to the educational level and access. So, paano nga ba yung access dito sa iba't ibang country na ito? So, dito sa North Korea, access to higher education is limited and often politically influenced. Educational quality varies significantly based on loyalty to the regime. So, ganun po siya. Hindi po siguro lahat ay nakakaroon ng access to higher education sapagkat politically influenced siya. Dito po sa developing country na Chile, ang access po ay significant disparities in access due to socio-economic status. Reforms aim to improve access and quality, especially in rural and underserved areas. So, ganun po yung access nila due to socio-economic status, hindi po lahat nakakaroon ng access. And we could reflect that as Filipinos, no, as a developing country rin po. Ganun po rin po siguro yung access natin. Now, for Lithuania, broad access to education, ganda nun, with a focus on equal opportunities. Wow. Government efforts to ensure quality and accessibility across all regions. Yun po, ang kanyang access. No? Ibang-iba po talaga si Lithuania as a developed country. May access, broad access to education. And now, when it comes to funding and governance, no? Education is a state-funded and centrally controlled. Heavy emphasis on ideological education. So, state po ang nagpa-fund ng kanilang education. Sa Chile, mix of public, private, and subsidized funding. Decentralized governance with efforts to reform and improve quality. Sa Chile naman po ay mix po. And for Lithuania, ang funding is predominantly state-funded with additional private investment. And ang kanilang governance, centralized governance, ensuring standardized education across the country. So yun po yung comparison when it comes to funding and governance. Now, the description of schools. Ano nga ba yung mga schools nila? So for North Korea, schools heavily focus on ideological indoctrination. Resources and facilities vary greatly. So yun po yung emphasis nila, no? Ideological indoctrination. For Chile, wide variety of schools including public, private, and subsidized. Quality and resources can vary significantly between institutions. Nag-iiba-iba rin po yung resources nila when it comes to schools. And for Lithuania, schools are generally well-resourced and standardized. Emphasis on modern facilities and inclusive education. Maganda po sa Lithuania. No? Next, issues on standards and quality. Ano nga ba yung mga issues nila when it comes to standards and quality? For the North Korea, quality is inconsistent, often dependent on political factors. Heavy focus on political indoctrination impacts overall educational quality. So, yun po, no? Kahit naman po mababalitaan natin sa social media or when it comes to news, ganun po talaga ang focus ng North Korea. And for Chile, issues naman po, disparities in educational quality between urban and rural areas. Ongoing reforms aim to standardize and improve educational outcomes. So, medyo struggling, but meron pong goal ang Chile. For the Lithuania, high standards maintained through centralized curriculum and assessments, continuous effort to improve quality and international competitiveness. So, ibang level po talaga si Lithuania. Now, let's look at into its curriculum. No? Ano kayang laman ng curriculum? First, sa North Korea. Korea heavily emphasizes political ideology and loyalty to the regime. Limited focus on STEM and modern educational methods. So they are more on po talaga sa a political ideology. And for Chile, national curriculum with a focus on reducing inequality. Emphasis on comprehensive education including STEM, arts, and humanities. And for the Lithuania, standardized national curriculum with broad subject offerings, focus on STEM, language, proficiency, and critical thinking skills. So, ganong level po si Lithuania. So, yun po yung comparison when it comes to their curriculum. Now, let's have the organization and management. For the North Korea, highly centralized and controlled by the government, and strict adherence to state-mandated curriculum and method. No? Ganun, as a communist, as a country na ganun po ang form of political government, so they are highly centralized and controlled by the government. For the Chile, mix of centralized and decentralized elements. Reforms aims to improve management and accountability. And for the Lithuania, centralized management with regional administration ensuring consistency, emphasis on transparency and accountability in educational institutions. So, mas concerned po sila sa transparency. So, yun po yung comparison ng tatlo when it comes to organization and management. Now, the technical education and training. For the North Korea, technical education aligned with state needs and often political influenced, limited by resource constraints and outdated methods. As an underdeveloped country, ganun po yung problema nila. And for Chile, diverse options for technical education and vocational training. Focus on aligning training with market needs and improving quality. So marami pong options sa Chile. And for Lithuania, well-developed technical education system with strong industry links, emphasis on practical skills and employability. So, ganun po rin po ang Lithuania, well-developed na po ang kanilang technical education system. Now, ito po yung iba't ibang comparison ng tatlong country. Dito po sa ating subject na comparative education. No? We have tackled the three countries which are the Korea Democratic Republic or simply known as North Korea, the developing country Chile, and the developed country Lithuania. And in summary or in general, each country's educational system reflects its unique political, social, and economic context, with varying degrees of government control, access to education, and curriculum focus. Indeed, there are rooms to improve, to maintain, and to admire. So, ganda po na ating na-compare ang tatlong countries na iyon na nasa iba't ibang estado ng pagkabansa sapagkat we can see their focus, we can see their struggles, we can compare kung ano yung wala sa isa, meron sa isa, kaya naman po, merong dapat na improve, merong dapat na i-maintain, at merong dapat na i-admire. And as an educator myself, and as soon as an administrator, it will be my reflection na kung saan yes, meron tayong estado na ganito sa Philippines, but it's also great na i-compare natin ang self sa ibang country which is we are better than them, no? Lalong-lalo sa underdeveloped country, but it's also a challenge for us na makita sa iba na merong developed country na yung goal natin ngayon ay nangyayari na sa kanila. And it is a very good thing to admire. So thank you po. I am John Erel S. Estanyol, the reporter, and thank you so much for listening. And I hope meron po kayong natutunan and at least may ma-apply po sa inyo as educator or at least as a uh, ordinary Filipino citizen. Yan lamang po. Maraming salamat.